There's a certain type of person who never raises their voice, even when the world around them seems to be falling apart. They don't argue. They don't panic. They don't rush to prove themselves right. They simply breathe. While everyone else scrambles to make sense of the chaos, they observe quietly, as if they've already weathered this storm before. You've likely met someone like this. The kind of person whose presence feels wrapped in silence. No matter the circumstances, they remain composed, steady, grounded, untouchable. If you've ever wondered why some people can stay so calm while others crumble, the answer runs deeper than you might expect. True calmness isn't the absence of emotion. It's what happens when emotion meets understanding. These people do feel. They just don't react in the same way anymore. Music. Once you've seen enough, been hurt enough, and realized that panic rarely solves anything, you stop fighting storms you cannot control. Instead, you learn to stand still in the rain. This is the psychology of calm people. They weren't born this way, they became this way. People who are consistently calm often went through periods where they were not. They overthought, cared too much, tried to control everything, fix everything, and please everyone. Each attempt taught the same lesson. Life doesn't bend to your will, no matter how hard you push. Eventually, they stopped trying to control the ocean and learned to surf it instead. This is what calm truly is, not indifference, but emotional wisdom. Psychologists call it emotional regulation, but that term doesn't fully capture it. It's not about suppressing feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about understanding emotion so deeply that it no longer controls you. Calm people are not emotionless. They are emotionally fluent. They can feel anger without exploding, sadness without drowning, and uncertainty without losing balance. Inside, there's a quiet voice whispering, "This too shall pass." This voice isn't naive optimism, it's memory. They've lived through enough to know even the worst moments fade. Panic doesn't speed healing, and peace comes from acceptance, not control. Many misunderstand calm people, thinking it equals coldness. In reality, it often reflects compassion. Calm people hold space for others when everyone else panics. They can genuinely say, "It's okay," because they know chaos is temporary. There's quiet strength in this restraint. The strength to save your energy for what truly matters, not react to every insult, and face storms without fear. It's the strength to choose peace when instincts push for conflict. But why do some people reach this state while others feel perpetually overwhelmed? The answer lies in the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and emotional response. In those who practice mindfulness or endure intense emotional experiences, the amygdala balances out. Danger signals still arise, but they no longer take over completely. The prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain, steps in before emotion dominates. In other words, calm people train themselves to pause between feeling and reacting. That pause is their superpower. It allows them to hear hurtful words without immediate retaliation, sit with uncertainty without filling silence, and maintain clarity when the world is loud. That moment of stillness is where wisdom resides. Interestingly, calmness is rarely taught through books or therapy. Many learn it the hard way, through heartbreak, disappointment, and realizing that reacting quickly often worsens things. They grow tired of chaos, of overreacting, apologizing, and explaining. Peace becomes more important than being right. Now, when tension rises, they choose silence over shouting, breathing over blaming, letting go over holding grudges that burn from within. Yet this calm isn't always easy. Often, calm people carry storms unseen by others. Their serenity is hard-earned, forged in pain rather than perfection. They've cried in private, questioned their worth, and felt misunderstood. Through all of this, they realize that peace isn't something you earn by having an easy life. It's a discipline you cultivate when you understand that emotional chaos no longer serves you. That's why people who are consistently calm tend to think differently. They aren't driven by impulse. They are guided by perspective. They don't seek validation. They pursue meaning. They don't feel the need to prove they're right. They prefer to understand. Deep down, they've recognized something many people miss. Reacting to everything makes you a prisoner of everything. The calmer you are, the freer you become. In psychology, this is called response flexibility, the ability to choose your response rather than letting it choose you. Calm people master this. They don't suppress emotion, they channel it. They let the energy move through them without letting it destroy them. That's why they often remain composed in crises, yet may quietly break down afterward, not because they're pretending, but because they understand timing. They know there's a time to feel and a time to act, a time to process and a time to release. Their calmness isn't a mask. It's an internal compass keeping them aligned no matter how strong the winds get. And if you look closer, you'll notice another truth. Calm people don't just react differently, they see differently. While most see chaos, they see patterns. While most see problems, they see lessons. While most see endings, they see beginnings disguised as change. They've trained their perception to zoom out, to take in the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the moment. This perspective gives them balance. They can lose something and still think, maybe this was meant to happen. It's not denial, it's perspective forged by experience. The calm person quietly sitting in the corner has likely faced experiences that once broke them. They've simply learned not to live inside that break anymore. They understand that when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you create space. And it's in that space that peace begins. Think about the next time you see someone who never seems rattled. They're not detached from life. They're anchored more deeply in it. They no longer get tossed around by every wave because they've become the ocean itself. Their calmness isn't apathy, it's understanding. They know that not every emotion deserves expression, not every thought deserves attention, and not every situation deserves energy. To them, energy is sacred, and they spend it wisely on things that build rather than break. They've seen how chaos drains, how drama destroys peace, and how small reactions grow into regrets. So they choose differently now. When insulted, they pause. When misunderstood, they explain if necessary and walk away if it's not. When life feels heavy, they don't collapse. They lean on faith, on time, and on perspective. This is what makes calm people magnetic. Not because they have all the answers, but because they don't need to. They've made peace with uncertainty. In a world obsessed with control, that peace is power. While most people fight battles in their minds, replaying, overthinking, regretting, calm people know silence can communicate more than words. Not every emotion deserves a witness, and sometimes the greatest strength is simply not reacting. There's another layer often overlooked. Calmness can be a form of self-protection, a gentle defense mechanism. For many, calmness isn't a choice. It's something they had to build to survive. They learned early that reacting loudly rarely changed outcomes, and staying composed was safer. Guarding their emotions kept them from being misunderstood or hurt. Calmness became their armor, and their quiet became their shield. Even if it began as protection, it evolved into power. Over time, restraint turned into awareness. Emotional distance became depth. Quiet strength became the foundation of their peace. That's why calm people are often highly self-aware. They understand their triggers and recognize their patterns. They don't need constant noise to feel alive. Stillness is not emptiness, it's clarity, the sound of someone who's finally stopped running from themselves. The calm ones often make the world feel slower, safer, simply by being present. They don't demand attention or raise their energy to match the noise. They lower the noise by being themselves. You can feel it, that quiet confidence that doesn't need validation. There's something magnetic about people who remain calm in a world addicted to reaction, not because they're emotionless, but because their emotions have matured. Maturity isn't about age. It's about understanding what truly deserves your peace. Calm people know arguing rarely changes minds, rushing rarely speeds outcomes, and worrying rarely prevents events. They let go of what doesn't serve them, not out of indifference, but because they understand the cost of caring about everything. The calm person has likely already faced what you fear. They've experienced heartbreak, loss, rejection, and fear. They know life continues after moments that once felt unbearable. That realization becomes their peace. They don't expect life to be easy, and they've stopped expecting it to be fair. This shift alone eliminates much of life's chaos. When something bad happens, most ask, why me? The calm person asks, why not me? Not out of defeat, but understanding that life happens to everyone. Resisting this truth only multiplies suffering. They've discovered a deep psychological truth. Pain without resistance is just sensation. Pain with resistance becomes suffering. They stop resisting, accepting life's flow, not passively, but as active participants who know when to act and when to wait. Calmness isn't passivity, it's self-control at its highest form. They've learned to separate the external world from the internal. The world may be loud and unpredictable, but their inner peace remains unshaken. Calm people can seem distant at times, but they protect a space inside themselves that is sacred. They don't let every external event dictate their inner state. That's why they often feel like they exist in a different dimension, because they do. It's the space between stimulus and response that defines them. That tiny, invisible pause is where they decide whether to feed chaos or nurture peace. That pause is a sign of emotional intelligence. Calmness isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you actively create. Every calm person you meet has built it, moment by moment. They've developed it during long nights when their minds wouldn't stop racing, in mornings when they wanted to give up, in conversations where they chose silence over reaction. It isn't easy, but it's intentional. They train themselves to remain unshaken, not because life stops challenging them, but because they stop failing the same emotional tests. If you ask a calm person what changed them, they'll likely say, "I just got tired. Tired of overthinking, tired of defending myself, tired of being misunderstood, tired of giving energy to things that didn't deserve it." That's when they began to value peace like oxygen. It's curious, society celebrates loud success, but quiet strength rarely receives recognition. Yet, calm people carry profound wisdom. They can sit in stillness long enough to actually hear what life is saying. They notice more than they speak. Silence sharpens perception, allowing them to see through noise. In that silence, they observe without judgment, and that's how they understand others so deeply. In a way, calm people are emotional translators. They don't just hear words, they hear intention. They don't just see behavior, they perceive the wound behind it. They don't just react, they absorb, decode, and release. That's why talking to them feels therapeutic. You feel seen, not analyzed, understood, not judged. They listen to understand, not to respond. Listening like this requires stillness, and stillness requires strength. Staying centered is difficult when the world around you is spinning. Remaining gentle is hard when life keeps trying to harden you. But calm people persist, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. They know that peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the ability to face challenges without losing yourself. That's what sets them apart. Most people search for peace in perfect conditions. Calm people create it in imperfect ones. They don't wait for storms to pass. They find stillness within them. You'll often see them keeping simple routines. A morning ritual, a quiet walk, a cup of tea, a few minutes of silence before bed. These habits aren't random, they're anchors. Repetition builds predictability, and predictability strengthens the mind. Calm people guard these patterns because they keep them grounded. Without small doses of stillness, the mind spins out stories. The calmer the mind, the clearer those stories become. There's something paradoxical about calm people. They are often deeply emotional, yet they are the least reactive. They've learned that expressing emotion doesn't always require eruption. Sometimes, you express it simply by holding it gently until it dissolves. And this doesn't mean calm people don't feel deeply. They simply express it differently. Sadness becomes reflection. Anger becomes clarity. Fear becomes faith. That transformation, the ability to turn emotion into awareness, is the essence of calmness. It's what separates emotional maturity from chaos. But calmness goes further than just how you feel. It changes how others respond to you. When you remain calm, you become harder to manipulate and unpredictable to those who depend on emotional reactions. That protects your energy because nothing disrupts chaos more than someone who doesn't participate in it. It's a quiet form of resistance. While everyone else rushes to react, the calm person waits. In that pause, they gain perspective others miss. They notice motives, patterns, and dynamics that reveal themselves only in stillness. They avoid rushing to conclusions because they've learned that truth unfolds naturally. It cannot be forced. That's why calm individuals rarely regret their decisions. They give life the time it needs to show what's real. Perhaps the most profound aspect of calmness is that it's not just about managing emotion, it's about respecting time. Calm people understand that patience reveals what emotion often hides. Patience is not an action, it's wisdom disguised as delay. While others chase quick resolutions, calm people allow things to breathe. They know that rushing understanding is the fastest path to misunderstanding. When asked how they stay calm, they may smile and say, "I just stopped fighting everything." What they truly mean is they stopped fighting life. They stopped trying to win every argument, control every outcome, rewrite the past, and predict the future. They started trusting themselves to let life unfold. Trust is the secret ingredient in calmness. It's not about knowing what will happen. It's about believing you can handle whatever does. This belief isn't born of ego. It comes from experience. Surviving enough storms teaches you that you'll survive the next one, too. That's why calm people often radiate quiet confidence, not loud or showy, but grounded, like gravity. You feel safe around them because their presence says, "It's okay. We don't need to rush. We don't need to fight. We can just be." This is what the world needs more of. People who don't add to the noise, who pause before reacting, breathe before speaking, and listen before judging. Imagine if everyone did this for just a day. The world would feel calmer, and perhaps that quiet would heal more than words ever could. Of course, staying calm isn't always easy. Even the calmest people lose balance. They get angry, doubt themselves, or break down. The difference is that they know how to return to stillness. They observe, understand, and release their emotions. Awareness, acceptance, release. That's the cycle. True calm isn't never being shaken. It's always finding your way back. Calm people understand that emotions are waves, not walls. You can't stop them, but you can choose how to ride them. They navigate life's highs and lows with grace, never letting a single wave define the whole ocean. They accept that happiness and pain are temporary, and in that acceptance, they find peace independent of external events. Calm people often seem timeless, as if they've stepped out of the race everyone else is running. In a way, they have. They're no longer chasing peace, they've become it. Maybe you felt that pull too, that quiet voice saying, "I just want peace." Perhaps chaos no longer excites you. Silence feels safe, and understanding matters more than arguing. This isn't weakness, it's growth. Calmness isn't innate, it's cultivated. Once embraced, the world shifts. You stop needing noise to feel alive. You value quiet moments, gentle people, slower days. You measure success not by achievements, but by how peacefully you live. As calmness grows, clarity follows. You begin to see people, patterns, and purpose more clearly. You notice how much of life is noise pretending to matter. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You simplify thoughts, space, relationships. You choose less, and it feels like more. Calm people know the goal isn't a perfect life, it's a peaceful mind. Peace doesn't come from fixing everything outside. It comes from resting within yourself, even when the outside world is chaotic. That's why calm people are rare. Not because they lack emotion, but because they understand it. They don't escape the storm, they become the stillness within it. They don't control the wind, they move with it. They don't fear uncertainty, they embrace it as part of life's rhythm. Calmness isn't found at the journey's end. It's found when you stop running and fully inhabit the present. Life will always test you. It will shake, challenge, and disrupt your rhythm. Each time, you choose, react, or return. Each return strengthens, teaches, and frees you. If someone calls you too calm, take it as praise. It means you've mastered emotional balance in a world driven by reaction. You can see the storm without becoming it. You've found a strength that doesn't need to shout. It simply exists. Calmness is not emptiness. It's fullness without noise, power without aggression, and emotion without chaos.